As you're writing your resume, you know by now there are some basics it must have. These include contact information, title or headline, summary, areas of expertise, experience, and education. But are there other things you should fit in there somewhere? What are the resume extras you can include that will help your resume better highlight the value you can provide? A resume is really a straightforward document that often lacks the bells and whistles you might find on, say, your LinkedIn profile. Sometimes, though, you have extra space you want to fill in, and sometimes you have information you think is important for potential employers to know. How do you determine what to include? Keeping in mind that a resume is usually no more than 2 pages, don't add information that will make you go beyond that length. Also, think about what's pertinent for readers to know. Consider that every word on your resume should work toward the overall resume's goal, which is to get you an interview. If your resume extras won't help you with that, it's probably best to omit them. At this point, adding them to LinkedIn is probably your best bet. If you do have the space, and you think including additional information will help your cause, here are some suggestions to consider. Of course, education will be part of your basic resume, and you'll include only college, putting degrees in reverse chronological order. If you didn't receive a degree, you can include coursework. And if you didn't attend college at all, you'll leave off education altogether. But there might be some extras you want to add in your education section. These could include relevant coursework, clubs, organizations, fraternities, and sororities, study abroad programs, sports participation, your GPA, honors and distinctions. The further you get from college, the less any of these extras will matter, but you may choose to keep on fraternities and sororities if you went to a large school and your resume could fall in the lap of someone who was also a member. And if you're applying for positions in sales, some employers like to see that you participated in team sports in college, even if college was 20 years ago. Does your targeted career require certain licenses for you to be employed? If so, be sure to include them on your resume. There's no need to add the license number. The name of the license itself is sufficient. For licenses that are only good in a certain state, name the states. Don't include dates. By virtue of those licenses being on your resume, you're saying that they're current. Something to consider. Did you have a license that expired but you can get back easily? It's good to include those, especially if they could help you get an interview. Just note that they're expired. By including them, you let employers know you're eligible to get them again upon employment. On some resumes, you may see licenses and certifications combined, but since ATS systems don't always know where everything goes on a resume, err on the side of caution and separate them. Certifications are just like licenses. Include those that support your candidacy. Does your certification have an acronym? If so, include that as well as a spelled out version. For certifications you want to be sure readers don't miss, consider adding the acronym after your name in the contact information. And as with licenses, omit dates and include expired certifications when you feel they will help you land an interview. Are you a published author? Assuming you don't need a CV and only have a few published works in the world, you can include those here. The professions that benefit from including publications vary from writers to educators and engineers. Types of publications include books, research papers, scholarly articles, and conference papers. Keep in mind that you want every component on your resume to add value, so if it doesn't, leave it off. Format your publications in reverse chronological order and use a consistent format, whether that's APA, MLA, or a more casual approach. You can just list them or bullet the list and only include those that are most relevant to the goal at hand. Have you spoken at an industry event or given a TED Talk? The ability to speak in front of an audience can say a lot about you as a professional and industry subject matter expert, making these excellent resume extras to include. List where you spoke, your topic or the title of your presentation, and when it occurred, keeping in mind to focus on the past 10 to 15 years. Professionals in the IT and engineering fields may have the distinction of having invented something. If that's you, your patents make wonderful resume extras. You can include them in a separate section with the patent number and title. Being active in your profession is a benefit when looking for a position because it shows that you are invested. For new graduates or those who are in the process of shifting careers, professional memberships highlight your dedication to the industry. Are you applying to a company that has deep community ties? If so, illustrating that you too are embedded in your community may help you land an interview. These will typically include board memberships or roles that you have in local organizations. While volunteering and community involvement can often be interchangeable, for our purposes here, community involvement is more board memberships and higher-up roles. Volunteering, on the other hand, is where you spend your time. Again, if a company where you want to work has a heart for animals, for instance, the fact that you volunteer at the SPCA could be a real difference maker for you. Do you speak another language besides English? How about several languages? If you only speak one other language, it's best to include this in your summary, adding a line such as bilingual in English and Spanish. But if you have a knowledge of many languages, you can include them in your extras, even going so far as to rank your proficiency. Also, if you're not applying for a position that will be able to use your language knowledge, but you think it's important to add, having a separate section is a smart choice. In certain industries, it's important that you have or are eligible for a security clearance. Whether you have confidential, secret, or top secret in clearance, these could be important extras to include. When it comes to references, you may think they are important to put on your resume, but the truth is that they don't belong there. You should neither list the references themselves, nor even notes such as references available upon request. References are an addition to your resume, and you can leverage them at the end of an interview that went really well. Unless you're asked for them during the application process, hold off using these as a way to keep the conversation moving forward during the interview process. If you've gone through all these potential resume extras and found that all of them could apply to you, you may now have a fit issue on your resume. Remember to keep it to only 1 or 2 pages. And while 3 pages are okay in some instances, if your third page is only extras, that might be a little too much. To solve this problem, you can do one of 2 things. 1, go back to the lesson on resumes versus CVs and see if it's time to switch to a CV. With that, you're not limited on your number of pages. Or 2, keep your resume to 1 or 2 pages and include some highlights of your resume extras if you have them and if you have room. Then create a resume addendum to share as an extra either during the application process or while interviewing. This should have your name and contact information, just like on your resume, but where you'd normally list your title or headline, say resume addendum. Then include all you care to share. Writing a resume can be a lot of work, to be sure. You certainly have plenty to think about. From the career goal you're pursuing to writing an eye-catching summary and including targeted keywords and accomplishments, there are many places you can nail it or miss the mark entirely. When it comes to resume extras, there's a whole host of considerations in what to include and how. Some of the extras that might work to support your candidacy include education extras, licenses, certifications, publications, speaking engagements and presentations, patents, professional memberships, community involvement, volunteerism, languages, and security clearance. Remember that one of your resume extras is not your references. For information on references, refer to that lesson to learn more.